What's going on, everyone? Welcome to another edition of 27Q alongside that man. Look at the basement is looking sharp. It's coming along. It's a lot of life.
I
His
don't know
career
about
wasn't a
that,
great
Rich.
one. The two-time Super Bowl champ, a great running back with the New York Football Giants, number 27, Brandon Jacobs. I'm Rich Quinones. It is Giants and Jets week. I can tell you, big man, it's always great to see that mug and that smile. This game has no friggin' juice because the Giants suck. They stink. I'll save you a couple moments. I have to say it right now. I can't take it, B. Walk me off the ledge right now. And how are you?
Walk you off the ledge. I got you. I'm not, but when we get to the ledge, we're gonna have a long conversation. We're gonna have a long conversation. If you still want me to push you, I got you.
The basement, it's coming along.
Hey man, we're just trying to get this thing done, man. They haven't really started any real work in here, man. It's been studied out like this.
Spacious.
It's been studied out like this. It's gonna be a big basement. It's gonna be huge. We're gonna finish it out, man. I'm gonna have a podcast room down here, game room, my man cave, gonna go back, jerseys and stuff, gonna go back on the wall. Like my last house I just had. So, we'll see.
I know you're in your element when you have the jerseys, the
Yeah,
helmets.
yeah.
That's you. You're
I feel at home when I got a background solid
right,
like that.
right. Like the old the song back in the day when Papa was a Rolling Stone. Wherever he laid his hat, that was his home. So
That was his home, baby.
all right, listen, we got to get into the elephant in the room here. It's Giant Jet week. I think there's absolutely no friggin' buzz unless you're a Jet fan. The Giants just have so many issues. They haven't played well this year. Taylor's going to be back under center. Daniel Jones not cleared again. This will be week number 3. You and I have gone back over the last year plus. I told you I like Daniel Jones, but I think you've always, to a man, have felt maybe looking at the other brunette, waiting for her to walk into the bar, right? Have my eyes on something else. That is 100% accurate. But when everything around him works, we saw what he can do. The problem is the line has been atrocious. He's banged up, and now he's out. I'll get to Taylor in a moment, but do you think the Giants might have buyer's remorse now? 160 million, 40 million guaranteed, and he played 13 games his rookie year, 14 the second year, 11 the third year, last year 16, and this year he's only played 5 games, and I think he might be out for a while because you can't mess with the neck. So take me right now into that locker room, man, and the Giant brass. You think they're saying to themselves, oh, man, worst case scenario, this kid gets hurt?
It's an interesting subject when you talk about it because, you got Daniel Jones, who had not played well all season long, you ask me, all season long, he had not played great. But at the same time, there's other reasons why he can't perform like he want to perform because let's just be honest, Thomas been out. He missed 3 games.
Gonna miss this game
out,
too.
Right. So your left tackle's out. Evan Neal, I don't think he was ever out while Daniel Jones were playing. I think they left the same. He just got hurt, not last week before. I don't know, man. Buyer's remorse. I'm not going to say they're not going to ever regret a purchase like that because no one ever wants to admit to making a mistake in the beginning.
Yeah.
So with that being said, I don't think they're going to feel that way. No one is going to in the office is going to be, talking about it, and unless somebody go home have a long conversation with their wife on what they think they did. But to one another, no one will never admit that mistake if they think that it was a mistake. So I'm not going to say they have buyer's remorse. Just Daniel Jones got to get better. He got to get better. They got to get the offensive line better. And I know this. I'm so sick and tired of the same freaking story, Rich. Every year, offensive line, offensive line, offensive line, offensive line. We got to draft the offensive line, free agent, offensive line, offensive line. I get so tired of freaking hearing that. Like, why are we consistently talking about how many are you going to draft? You got 2 top 5 picks at your tackles, at your bookends. 2 top 5 picks, and you tell me we're still getting our ass kicked up front.
Yeah.
when you got two guys that can play tackle like that, your guards don't need to be crazy, you know. And you ask me that, I think that's the best part of the offensive line is the guys that, the guard to guard. You know, they've been playing. We've been getting beat on the edges. We brought in Justin Pugh
Off the couch. Off the
off the
couch.
couch, literally off the couch, and he's coming in. I guess he's trying to get his groove and find himself out there. I don't know, man, but we gotta find another blame other than the offensive line. We can't keep doing this year in, year out, talking about the offensive line. And now you got the Jets coming up. You know, they got a little high with them. They just now servicing back on the scene after losing Aaron Rodgers in week 1. So it took them a long time to get back, even though they started out the season 1-0. You know, the guy brought in Zach Wilson and beat a great Buffalo team where everybody had picked going to the Super Bowl, you know, the AFC Championship game in most cases. They came in and they beat that team. So with that being said, I mean, the Jets got a little bit more momentum coming into this game than the New York Giants, even though we just got the last win against the Commanders, which I got to tell you, Rich, I'm not impressed with that win. I mean, it's the Commanders, and we only scored 14 points. Defense played a stellar game, but did the defense really play a stellar game when you got Sam Howell at quarterback?
It's a fair point.
So this win, I'm glad that we got it, and we're able to chirp a little bit about it and brag a little bit about it. It makes us 1-1 in a division, but at the same time, we got to be able to score more than 14 points this game against the New York Jets.
Yeah. So you bring up a couple points that I jotted down. So you mentioned the Jets, coming off some momentum, coming off the bye, the big win against the Eagles to give them their first loss. You mentioned the offensive line. I know you tweeted out the other day, listen, at the end of the day, stop giving the quarterbacks money, give the offensive line money. Now, this is coming from a player in you that won not one, but multiple championships with the Giants because of what was the most consistent aspect of that offense, the friggin'
offensive line. We had 5 guys consistently. So when I first came in the league, we had Luke Pettigrew was the left tackle. Luke was a dog from Notre Dame, first-round draft choice, a monster, right? Luke ended up hurting his back. Well, he had to, call it quits. He ended up doing that. Then we got we moved David Dale, who was playing guard at the time. We moved David Dale to tackle and got Rich after he had just come back off his big injury and put him back at guard. So we had Deal, you had Rich Sorber at guard, you had Sean O'Hara at center, then you had Chris Snee at guard, and then Kareem McKenzie. Yep. I had those 5 guys for the majority of my time with the Giants.
Yeah.
Then in come Kevin Booth, a guy who was a backup behind those 5 guys. So it was the same exact thing that we had. Most of the time, the great times, like we had that line, and then Kevin Booth, will come in from time to time in a heavy package. Then Rich ended up going down and he retired, and then Kevin came in for him. So yeah, I had the same group of guys, the majority of my career as far as the offensive line is concerned, and we didn't have one guy on that offensive line making a crazy amount of bread like that.
Yeah. So the argument over the last couple of weeks was, if you go back to the second half of the Arizona game where they started to throw the ball down the field, they couldn't run it too much. They had to pass themselves back in. They put up points, obviously, in that second half, led by Daniel Jones. You go to the Buffalo game where Jones is not available. You had the issues with Barkley. Taylor played within himself, didn't make a lot of mistakes, albeit had the big mistake at the end of the half where they shouldn't have checked off for the run with Barkley, and you don't get any points. And then if you want to say PI, no PI, whatever. Last week,
Rich, at the end of the day, sorry for cutting you off.
No,
at
go
the
ahead.
End of the day, we had just got a PI on the same route with the same 2 players. It wasn't going to give us a second one.
Yeah, no, listen, I agree with you. My point is, second game now with Washington, you mentioned it, really didn't do anything in the second half. He took a bad sack which killed a drive. And then the Hyatt play was a nice throw down the sideline. If you lead them, most likely a touchdown. That's nitpicking. But the argument will be, how come Taylor was able, behind that same offensive line, to get the ball out and to connect with some of these wide receivers and throw it down the field, and they move the ball? I mean, you can't, listen, you can't, not you, but people have to admit this. He's provided a little juice and spark with that offense. It helps when you get Saquon back as well. So explain to me, how come one quarterback can do it and the other quarterback can't do it? And it just so happens the one quarterback that hasn't been able to do it this year is making $160 million. $160 million, $40 million this year.
I mean, Rich, we scored 14 points, man.
I know, but the argument is, like, if I asked you right now, I've gone back and forth with people. Taylor is a backup for a reason. When Jones is healthy, he is the starter. Daniel Jones is better than Taylor. But the people that don't like Daniel Jones and will dismiss Daniel Jones will say, see, look what Taylor does with this offense. And still, you're right, 14 points is nothing.
And I like Taylor. I like Tyrod Taylor. Cool guy, journeyman, knows what it takes to win in the NFL. He's been around a plethora of different talent and quarterbacks and quarterback coaches all throughout the league. Like you're not going to find someone that just with as much experience at the quarterback position in Tyrod Taylor and Geno Smith in the National Football League today. Those are two of the best guys that you can have on your roster in case your guy goes down. Geno Smith is that guy, but I'm saying that you'll have a guy like Tyrod Taylor to step in and be able to make plays, just because he's a savvy vet. He's a journeyman, savvy vet that's been around. So we kind of know, and be honest with you, just to call a spade, he's a better athlete out of the two guys.
You think Taylor's a better athlete than Jones?
The shit stink, Rich?
Why? Let me ask you a question. Why didn't they run as many RPOs though? Why didn't they have him more scramble and bootleg? I mean, I think Daniel Jones is a very athletic quarterback.
I think so too, but I'm saying I think with Daniel Jones, I think he kind of thinks a little bit too much. I think he thinks a little bit too much when it comes to like running the ball and stuff like that, trying to make a decision is the right thing to do. Did he miss a read? The guy got all kinds of things going on in his head, man.
Well, it's probably because of the offensive line. I mean, the guy's he's seeing ghosts.
He's seeing ghosts, man. Like he's literally looking down at the line trying to see who's going to get beat and where he got to escape to.
So
he's literally doing that. Tyrod Taylor's doing the same thing. He's just making plays in the passing game on the run. He's keeping his eyes downfield. His eyes don't go downfield until he starts scrambling.
Yeah.
That's when he's like, okay, I see where I got to go now. Let's scramble over here. Oh, I see him coming on the crosser. Dink. Like that's just what it is. I mean, I think Daniel Jones is the Giants starting quarterback when he's healthy.
That's what
he's the starting quarterback whenever that time comes.
But is it based because of what he did last year or because of what they're paying him?
I think it's more of what they're paying him because we haven't seen the same player. We haven't seen the same damn team this year that we saw last year.
It went down the hill. The first series of the first friggin' series of the season, it went downhill.
Yeah,
against the Dallas
I can't just sit and point the finger and say Daniel Jones wasn't the same guy that he was last year. He's not that guy that did this year. Hell, Rich, the whole damn team is in the same team that they were last year.
Yeah,
they're just not. They're not playing good on defense. They can't score points. We scratching. Scratching, clawing to get 14 freaking points in a four-quarter game against the Washington Commanders, who gave up 28 points on average.
Defense has played better, but I agree with you. The offensive line for Washington stinks. We're killing the Giants' offensive line. That kid got hammered the other day. Still, people, if you listen to New York radio or some of the media, they're still killing Thibodeau because he's not putting up the biggest gaudy stats. He's got 5.5 sacks. He's on pace for 15 sacks. Now, he should have had that little gimme pick 6, no doubt. I don't know the expectation, what people want sometimes in some of these players. Listen, that defense should be able to play better against the Jets. I do have to ask you this because, again, I made a note of it. I know you're a Geno guy. You look at what he's doing now in Seattle, second arc of his career. Is it easy to sit there and say in hindsight that maybe the Giants gave up a little too quick on a guy like Geno Smith when he was backing up?
No, I never go back that far and
Okay,
say
I'm
that
just asking.
that type of decision that was made by the organization
Yeah,
is
just
something that's
gotta ask.
biting us now. That was too long ago.
Okay, fair point.
That was too long ago. Let's go back, Rich.
Yeah,
The Giants and their
yeah,
sack, the defense.
yeah.
Last week was the first time really we hadn't gotten after quarterback in what
They had
probably
five.
3 weeks.
Total sacks going into that game, and I think they had 5 or 6 for the game. So yeah, five. Second half, Buffalo made some plays, but definitely that was their best defensive effort last weekend against
Yeah,
a bad.
against some wet paper bad.
Yeah,
I'm not going to take anything from them. It's a step in the right direction, but we
yeah.
need that consistently. We need it on a consistent basis, and we need to I don't know what it is on the offensive line that we got to do but we gotta give the quarterback, we got to get a running back some running room. I don't care if it's Saquon Barkley, Breed, I don't care who it is back there, but somebody we need some space to to kind of move around a little bit.
Yeah, I think they're in for a long season. I told you before the season I thought they were going to take a step back. I didn't like the schedule. I didn't like the young kids in the defensive the corners, the DBs, and I didn't like the offensive line. Now, I didn't think it was going to get Daniel Jones hurt. You know, you mentioned Saquon, just having him out there, the defenses have to be honest. He comes out and says, look, I understand the NFL is a business. I don't want to be traded. That's all well and good. But listen, say he rushes for 1,000 and they win 5 or 6 games. They're not tagging him again.
He's gone. He's going to hit the market.
So what do you do?
No one's going to trade for Saquon. He's still super talented, one of my favorite players in the NFL, the favorite player in the NFL. But let's just talk from a business standpoint of it. After this season, I'm not sure he's going to get the money he wants. After this season, missed a couple games, didn't perform as well as we all know he could have.
He's injury prone.
Again, it's not his fault. What type? So no one is gonna. I don't even think someone's gonna offer a trade for him because they got to turn and pay him the next year.
Yeah.
Who's going to turn and pay him? You're gonna give up a second round or third round pick, then turn and give this guy for what $35-40 million? Who's going to do that?
I don't see it, man. It's amazing what has
happened. Just
happened.
the business. Now, if I was a GM, I'd probably do that. I'll probably do that. If we had it to spend, I would probably go out and say, hey, let's make this trade, give him a second, third round pick, and then turn around and give him a pretty nice deal because I like the guy, and I think behind the right, in the right system, right offensive line, I think he can be deadly. Still, right now.
He's just always banged up. I mean, even the other day, he hyperextended his elbow. I mean, he's a great back when he's on the field and healthy. That's the big. You know this. You played the position. It's availability, right?
Breaking his fall and. I used to tell Danny Ware, Danny Ware was a guy that always, when he's being tackled, he put his hand down on the ground and try to take some of the man, you got on pads, hit the damn ground. Because you go down, you break your fall, and somebody come in there at you, and now your elbow is nah.
Yeah.
Just go down and hit the ground, man.
Like there's a difference when you think you're wrapped up, you keep your legs turned. Like Ahmad was that guy, right? You know, and sometimes he would fumble a little bit, and I know it would drive Coach Coughlin crazy, but he was fighting for those extra yards when you needed those extra yards. But to your point, I look at Saquon, and yes, he's a great back. I mean, it's still a little shaky when it comes to pass blocking, pass protection and catching the ball out of the backfield a little bit. But I don't know what you do with him. Like I almost, part of me is like, man, it's like you're stuck between a rock and a hard. Think about this. Dalvin Cook decided I'm going to sign with the Jets. Why? Because of Aaron Rodgers. He could have signed with Miami. Dalvin Cook basically wants to be traded right now because he's not being utilized because they got the kid Hall, who's coming off the injury, who's an absolute stud.
He's a stud. He's running hard right now. He's the Jets offense pretty much. And and they don't put a whole lot in Zach Wilson to be the guy to win the game. It's kind of a plethora of both.
Yeah.
Like there's a good mixture of the two. So I mean, why Cook is like it, I don't know why he's not getting the burn that we all think he could get. I think he can help Brees Hall out in that Jets offensive line, who was really good at run blocking and just sucked at pass block at pass pro. I think he'll be, another guy to be back there, and especially having, you down on your backup quarterback.
Yeah.
So being able to have a two-headed monster in that position will definitely be great. I don't know what the problem is. I don't know. I'm not in the locker room. I'm not in, like anyone's head, but it's definitely something about it that's keeping him off the field.
You look at the Jets and their defense looks like they'll get Sauce back and they'll be at full strength. They get to the quarterback. Defensive line of the Giants has been getting pressure. It's almost like, again, if you had to pick, if it's bad weather, rain, little mist, slippery ball here and there, Taylor, Zach Wilson, who do you trust? Who do you give the edge to? I mean, I look at this game as a low-scoring game. If the Giants somehow won this game to get to 3-5 and then beat the Raiders at 4-5, then maybe you start to say the season could be a competitive one. If you lose this game and go to 2-6, pretty much all bets are off. I mean, do you see them getting to Zach Wilson, getting pressure? Because the Jets are going to be able to get pressure on Taylor.
Oh, I think the Giants will be able to get pressure on Zach Wilson. I think so. I mean, I've been watching it. The guy, he's been running for his life too.
Yeah.
Which is why I said he's a better fit for this offensive line than Aaron Rodgers is, because he's consistently running for his life. So I think I think the Giants are definitely going to get some pressure, and I think the Jets will keep pressure on the Giants. This is going to be a statement game for either one of these two clubs to come out and see. We know where the weaknesses are for both clubs. We know both coaching styles. We just got to see, because I think it's going to have a bunch of sacks in this game. I think I'm gonna go along and say probably over 6 sacks, 7 sacks total in the game. I'm going to say.
I think it's going to be a low-scoring, ugly game, and it could be whoever gets to 14 points. But you're right. You have to score more with all these weapons, with Waller and Hyatt, who looks like a player, and Wandell.
Hyatt is going to be. I mean, that kid is going to be phenomenal.
Yeah,
yes.
Yeah. And I know he's your guy, and I'm not getting on him. I said this in August. I don't know why they gave Shepard a roster spot.
Sterling Shepard is the grandfather, man. Like, what do you mean? Why they give him a roster spot?
Be that as it may, I mean, Waller, you got weapons, man. They got the tight end. I mean, they got Waller, they got Saquon, Robinson. They got players.
I feel bad. Man. I feel bad for Sterling Shepard, man. He muffed that punt last week, and I could just see it in his eyes. Like they know I'm older. I know I'm probably on my last leg. I get hurt, and I'm back out here, and I just got another opportunity, and I do that.
Play. Yeah.
Yeah, and I feel for him, man. Like, Sterling Shepard is a good dude, and I wish he wouldn't have experienced what last week.
He 100%. He's a good dude. He's a good guy, and he's come back from a ridiculous amount of injuries, and he's been a really pro with the Giants, and he's in a tough spot. He's only back there because Adoree Jackson was out, because they had that other kid Gray back there. As soon as you muff that, you can't send him back out there. There's no Jackson to return punts. They had to go and sign someone this week. You played the Jets 2007.
Why don't they put Hyatt back there to do it?
I'm not sticking him back there.
Why not?
Because right now he's my best playmaker. I don't need him to get hurt. Well, I did think about it, though. It did cross my mind. I can't do it. You have to get someone who's fielded them consistently.
You can't play the game in fearful. You can't play a barbaric type game in fearful injuries, Rich. You just can't do that.
I know. But then what happens?
You just can't do it. Put your best guy back there who you think can field it and make something happen.
But then last year, were we not arguing why the hell did they stick Jackson back there? And they lost Jackson for 3 weeks.
I get it, but you can't game plan in football.
I know. Injuries. By the way, I'm so tired of let these guys hit the quarterback, please. Let them hit. I don't understand this touch. And even the pass interference calls are so subjective. Look at the Miami and the Jets game, Miami and the Eagles. The Eagles weren't flagged. Look at last night when Mayfield throws that Hail Mary. What's the name? Evans was mugged. He was mugged in the back alley. They're not throwing the flag. And I don't remember, as long as I've been a Giants fan my whole life, I can't remember the Giants ever getting a ill-timed down, getting an extra down to end the game. I don't think it's ever happened in my lifetime. And yet you could have still made the argument that it was PI on Waller there. Right?
Yeah, I'd make that argument. I could go through and talk about the whole play from snap to the end.
Did you have a problem with the play call?
No, I have a problem with the play call. I didn't. Which play call are we? Let's make sure we're on the same page.
Ill-timed down. So when they got an opportunity and he just tried to like lob it in there to Waller, kind of make an awkward, his hand was kind of pulled down. People are saying, why didn't you try to run it with Saquon?
I mean, because that run is not guaranteed. I mean, I know down there some people can get in, but it's not guaranteed, man. You run the ball. I mean, if you throw the ball, it lengthens your chances of scoring because of the amount of time the play goes on, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
When you throw the ball, you got to drop back, and if no one's open, you get pressure, you scramble. That's a 5-6 second play, 5-second play, 4-second play gives you more of an opportunity to score if somebody to do something. When you run it, it's a second and a half, and it's over with.
That was horrible what they did at the end of the half. I mean, Taylor's got to know better. You can't check off knowing that if you run the ball, you have no timeouts, and you don't
14 seconds on the clock.
You don't get a field goal out. You get no points.
And then lackadaisical, we're trying to line up again.
Yeah, but
they didn't act like they didn't even know they had to get back on the ball to spike it to kill a clock. If they'd have moved faster, I think they probably could have got it with like at least a second, but it just was so lackadaisical, man.
I think it's across the board in the NFL. I don't understand like you would think you have a spotter, you have someone there to let you know what's going on with the play clock. I mean, look what happened last week. Rivera, he's done. Ron Rivera's done. I don't care if it's middle of the season, end of the season, he's cooked. They're going to fire him. And Bieniemy, all of a sudden, the bloom is off the rose with him with that offense. But you're going to I'm not going to say fake an injury, but call timeout. That's not there. It's a 10-second runoff. The game is essentially over. Like the coaching, these guys get paid millions of dollars. And you have these types of
mishaps.
Yeah, mishaps. So you played the Jets twice, 2011, 2007, 2011. Obviously the signature game was 2011 because, we know how much you like, Bart Scott and the Jets and Rex Ryan and all that. 2007 was not a bad game. If I remember.
No, I was just coming back off an injury. Like we played Dallas that week 1. Then I missed 2 weeks following that game. My first game back was the Jet game, and I went into that game having fumbling on my mind for whatever reason. I said, I just hope I don't fumble. And man, Kerry Rose took the ball out of my hand as I'm going down and ran it back for a touchdown.
That was the first score of the game.
On my mind for some reason. I don't know why, but it was.
That's the first score of the game.
I think I ended up rushing for 116 that game with a touchdown.
Man. That was a 35-24 game. That was early in the season. You guys went to 3-2, and then you had your when I always make fun of you, had those wonderful 6-2 friggin' starts. But I can't complain because you won in 2007, and then 2008. To me, I think that's a signature game, man. I mean, how physical was that game?
To the week, man. Like I just did an interview about this. We needed Rex Ryan to sell that game to make that game what it was. Our piss was hot because we was fighting for the playoffs, right?
Yep.
But Rex made it fun, man. Talking all the noise he talked. I know you couldn't really believe half the stuff he was really saying, but it really got to a lot of us and Coach Coughlin. So he made that that week fun, man. Like in 2011. So it was a great way to come into. Fighting for the playoffs. You got Vic out there making plays, 90 plus yards, Ahmad out there running over people, your defense out there flying around making plays. It was a great game to be a part of.
You guys were 6-2, and then you lost a tough game against San Francisco, tough game against Philly. You got waxed. You gave up 49 against the Saints. And then the Green Bay game was a crazy frigging game. And I remember that game because I thought there were some BS calls, but now you're 6-6. You beat Dallas. You lose to Washington, 7-7. So the mindset as a player, are you thinking about being 7-7 next game? Jets, here we go. Or man, we were 6-2 a blink of an eye ago. Like, what are you thinking at that moment?
Well, I mean, we clicking, we playing good, and all of a sudden the mojo goes away, right? We start playing careless football, start getting penalties, starting turning the football over, playing behind the chains. Just didn't execute very well in a lot of cases. So, I mean, it just took the momentum from us, like right there. Um, it's always tough to play. Like it's not like we didn't do that stuff when we were winning. We still committed dumb penalties and still have a little turnover here, like here or there. But in those games where we dominated, we won a turnover battle, right, and then we won field position battle.
Yeah.
That was a lot of those games when you only got to go 45 play. When you only got to go 45 yards to get in the end zone, you fresh off the bench as the offense. That always helps you out, and it gets your defense in better down in this situation. If you don't take at least 3, then you'll be at a +10 down and put the defense out with a chance to get a safety, have them make them go 97 yards or whatever the case is, 95 yards to score a touchdown, which 9 times out of 10, the percentage of doing that is very slim. So it works, and it works all kinds of ways. So that's when we was winning the turnover battle, field position battle, stuff like that. So when we were winning, we weren't winning those things when we turned the football over, creating them dumb penalties, and just out there playing like we didn't know what the hell was going on.
I look at a couple plays like from that run, 2007-ish, 2010 to 11. The stop on the road, 0-2 in 2007 against Washington, right? The 4 downs, boom. You trucking Woodson in the NFC Championship. To me, that was just right, set the tone, right? Then I look at the 99-yarder with Cruz. I mean, I would imagine that's a play that's just vivid.
Yeah, it sits there, man, because Cruz was new on the scene that season. We had just got him for real. He had just come off the practice squad the year before that, I think.
Coming off the injury.
Brought him in the camp. Yeah, he got hurt, and then they put him there. They didn't want him to be acquired off of the practice squad by some other team because he had a great preseason. So Vic came up big for us that whole season and made a lot of good, big time plays. So that's one definitely I could think about. That 99-yarder he had against the Jets kind of sparked everything, and we just went and we just fell off of it and just played.
You guys going nuts on that play?
Stupid. Went stupid. First of all, I didn't even think Vic had it in him to go 99. I thought he was slow. I didn't think he had it. I didn't think he had it in him.
He made that cut. He just.
But man, he found a way to get 99-yard touchdown. He found a way to get it done.
And then Amada trucking people. You guys were trucking people. You like the Giants this weekend?
Yeah, I like the Giants this weekend. Never gonna pick a low scoring game. I'm gonna go 17. I'm gonna go Giants 17. The Jets 10.
What you said you did the spot earlier today on ESPN in New York. Was Bart talking?
No, it was just some question today. No, it wasn't really. He just wanted to know what the rivalry meant to us. They said they never really saw it as a rivalry. They never really saw it as anything other than a football game, which most times we were that too. Which is why I think Rex was good for, because when we played the Jets in 2007, there was none of that talk.
Yeah.
There was none of that. We just played like we were playing somebody else from somewhere else. But Rex made that game, and leading up to it that week, so super exciting, man.
Yeah, but back in the day, many moons ago, even the preseason game, the Jets and the Giants had juice. But I go back, the one memory I have as a kid is when the Jets beat the Giants last game of the season, 1988. Al Toon, Ken O'Brien back of the end zone. The Giants had a great squad that year and needed that win. They lost. Eagles got in. Eagles made the run. They lost to the Chicago Bears. but that Giant, those teams, 88, 89, Flipper Anderson, 90 winning the championship, 91 strike. It kind of reminded 2007, 2008, bad loss against Eagles. Then you get back up there in 2011. So that game resonated with me. And obviously the Christmas Day game with Victor Cruz, because that sends the Jets going that way. And that sends you guys, going that way. I do have to ask you, we talked about the quarterbacks, man. Buyer's remorse. Deshaun Watson sucks. He stinks. So let me ask you something. Forget about Russ being cooked. Watson is done. He's dealing with the shoulder injury. It's lingering. We don't know when we're going to see him again. I said this the other day. Every single penny the Cleveland Browns promised to him is guaranteed. What do you do with a player that has regressed, beyond rusty, disengaged, Cook looks like he doesn't even want to friggin' be there? And oh, by the way, he's your quarterback.
Try to figure out how you can reconstruct your salary cap around his contract, that you can get some guys in that kind of help you a little bit. I'm not sure what it is you're going to do, but you give him all that money guaranteed. I mean, this man is laughing, man. He's going to be one of those guys that are going to be getting paid by a team when he ain't playing for them. Like one of them type of contracts where he's going to be 3-4 years retired out of the league and still getting paid.
Well, that's they make a joke in baseball with the Mets, Bobby Bonilla, for 20-something years. He was like $1 million the same date every single year. That is major buyer's remorse, man. But hey, listen, we're seeing it right now with some of these quarterbacks. San Francisco, we talked about them. We thought they were going to be the cream of the crop. Now all of a sudden they've come back down to earth. Are the Eagles right now, in your estimation, the best team in the NFC or the best team in football?
No, I got to go. Well, for me, I know San Francisco took 2 ugly ones back to back.
Bad losses.
Horrible losses. I don't think. Well, I can't say. I still think the Eagles are the better team in the NFC. So I shouldn't say that. The Eagles played a team that, quite frankly, has a good enough defense to play with them. Yeah, Philly run into a team with a good defense is going to be hard for them to win games. Philadelphia been trying to give away games for the last 2 weeks, the 2 weeks prior to that, so they've been up there hot and primed and ready to go as far as the loss is concerned. So they just ran against a team like the Jets with a really good defense that was going to need, play and, to help them get over the hump. But I still got to go because there's still really any clear winners in the NFC other than the Eagles. But, you never know what you're going to get with San Francisco. They just, like I said, they lost their last 2 bad losses. The quarterback play hadn't been great. Just a whole bunch of things just look like it's just discombobulated out there. But I don't know, man. I still gotta go with Philly. I'm going to go with Philly, even though I don't want to. But I'm going to go with Philly and still put San Fran or the not the Lions, because they just got annihilated.
I was about to ask you about them.
That was bad loss too. They got beat 38-6 by the Baltimore Ravens, who hadn't been able to score anywhere near that throughout the season. So what's happening with the Detroit Lions? Did we see their best? What's going on with Tampa Bay? Did we see their best?
I don't think
who started off really good. Now they're struggling. Back in the sorry division that now it's still up to grabs again. It's some really close football being played all over the National Football League, Rich. And I gotta say this, as a former player and a fan of the game, I think I like today's NFL more than I like any NFL ever, because it's so competitive now. And now you don't really know who's going to walk away with some of these wins. You can probably bank on the Kansas City Chiefs winning their games that they play in, but you can't really look at a team and tell that they're just going to run away with the game.
Parity. The NFL wants more scoring, but we really haven't seen a substantial amount. I mean, there's been some crazy games, Cleveland, Indianapolis, some high-scoring games. Miami put up 70 against, your guy, Russell Wilson, and Sean Payton.
Want to watch scoring? Go watch FCS football. That's all they do.
They 65
score. To 52. That's all they do. Watch FCS football.
But you would think the league wants, it to be wide open. They don't want it always coming down. It's just the officiating is just so inconsistent. The problem is it's subjective. I touch you, I blow on you, and you tip over, and it's a penalty, and I'm roughing the passer. And these are it starts to affect, even from a betting standpoint, how you look at these games. And then the conspiracies come out. It's scripted. It's rigged. It favors one team. Look at this refereeing crew. They got Kansas City. That means Kansas City's going to get, the bulk of the calls for them as opposed to against them. And it just, I don't know, man. Every time you're watching a game, it's a third down and the receiver, gets covered and the DB goes like this. All of a sudden the announcer says, and no flags. That's where we're at. It's almost as though we're waiting for the flag to be thrown. And to me, it ruins the experience of watching a game, the flow of the game. And also, if I'm looking to say, hey, maybe I want to make a buck or two on some of these games, I'm a little more weary about what direction I might go.
Right. How many yards you think every Sunday is calculated from roughing a passer?
So I would say
throughout all the games, in the league, how many yards you would say from total from roughing a pass? You say you got to have 3 a game, 4 a game, something like that, right?
I mean, you're talking 16 games, right? 32
16 games.
Say. I would
average
say on average, roughing the passer is probably called 3 to 5 times. So that's 5 times 5 is 75. And now I have to do my, my JUCO math, 75. Well, liberal arts college, but okay. 75 times 16, 1,200 yards.
A week off of roughing the darn passer.
But think about
on the minimum side.
Yeah. But some of them are so egregious. Like I can't understand, what is the defender? What is the lineman or the tackle supposed to do? Not fall on them, not touch them. Sometimes they go like this right away because they know the referee's getting ready to throw the flag.
Yeah, I think that's bad, man. I think that's bad. They're paying these quarterbacks all these money, like all of this money, so they're trying to keep them clean.
Right.
But I just think it's out of hand, man. Like I saw last week, I think it was Chris Jones, might have got in the backfield, ball was gone, and he's just like he threw it, and Chris was pushing him at the same time. Went back, they threw a flag for roughing the pass. So I was like, there's no way that this is it's just weird, man. I remember you used to be able to kill a quarterback when I was playing, and years before that. It's just crazy how they doing so much for the Q.
Yeah, and think about this, right? The same breath, go back to when you guys played Tennessee, and Kiwanuka was so worried about driving Vince Young, thinking he had him upright, and then didn't make
lets him go, and he runs down. Listen, next subject.
I'm sorry.
But Kiwi was right though, man. He had started calling some of that stuff, and he didn't want to get banged, with a penalty in a crucial moment in the game.
Yeah.
So he grabbed him, and I don't know if he ever heard a whistle. I think in the head he probably heard a whistle, and he let him
go. I know I got you for a couple more minutes. I know you follow obviously college football because you're all over the place on the weekends with the kids, and that's fantastic. Have you followed what's going on with Michigan and the investigation with Harbaugh and the sign?
No, but I'm not shocked about anything with him. Definitely not shocked.
But I was going to ask you
if they told me that they had some kind of sex ring going on over there, I would believe it 100% because I don't put nothing past him. I just don't.
You're not a fan of the Harbaughs, are you?
No, I'm not a fan of Jim. It's not that. I don't really have any. I saw what I needed to see with Jim. I saw what a lot of people on the outside didn't see when it comes to Jim.
Which is?
I mean, I just think for me, like he's a favoritism coach. Like he's a favoritism coach, and like they paid me pretty good to come out to San Francisco, right? And I would not waste organization money like that if I'm him, But I don't know, man. It just the guy always have a bunch of great assistant coaches around him. when he wins. But I just think that just due to the assistant coaches and their knowledge of the game versus, he gets the credit. But I don't know, man. But again, I'm not shocked at anything that happened with him involved.
So that was basically your cup of coffee with the 49ers that one year.
For me, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, when he left, he said at the time it wasn't a mutual decision, meaning they probably. I mean, is that a coach where you felt you can go and knock on the door and?
I think Jim got fired from the 49ers. I think he won 9 or 10 games that season. I'm not sure how many he won.
8-8.
Oh, well, 8-8. Still, he just went to the NFC Championship game, I think, the year before that. So I'm not sure what transpired. Maybe some stubbornness here or there, something maybe rather that they didn't want to deal with. I don't know. I was completely shut off when I was there. Was not myself.
What do you mean shut off?
I was shut off. Like I didn't care. I didn't care about if we won. I didn't care about if we lost. I didn't care about nothing. I didn't care about anything.
So then let me ask you a logical question if I can real quick. Then what made you go then, if knowing how you were going to feel, what made you then want to sign with them?
I didn't know how I was going to feel, Rich. I mean, I wanted to go. Jerry Reese came to me about taking another pay cut. I was cool with the pay cut, but I was like, you know what? I want to see what it's like somewhere else.
Yeah.
I wanted to go to California. I wanted to go play on one of those teams in California for real. Like that's really what I wanted. Okay. So I got an opportunity to go to San Francisco. We had the same agent. Jim and I had the same agent, and I saw him at a golf outing at the St. Regis the year after we won the Super Bowl the second time, beat them in the NFC Championship game. I walk up to him and I say, "Hey, Jim, man, Coach Harbaugh, hey, man, great job. We're, young. I shouldn't say, you haven't been a head coach long and you've took the team, doing great things and, so on and so forth. And next thing you know, free agents are coming and they give me a contract to go out there. Then I ended up getting hurt in the preseason, and all they had to do was really, if they felt like I wasn't going to ever be ready, to put me on IR. That's what they should have done. But I was past the time where I had to, split my contract, so they're going to have to give me everything anyway. But if they felt that I wasn't ready, I just don't know like what it was. Like I went to practice, like when the Giant game came and I wasn't active then. I was kind of like out of it then. I was like out of it. I ain't give a damn about nothing. And we talking about week 5 or week 6 at this point. I ain't really care about a whole lot, which they didn't need me to care a whole lot because I wasn't really playing. But it just, like I said, it's just something that didn't work out. I mean, me and Mario Manningham wasn't really, we felt like we was going into the enemy's den, that we just beat these boys at the highest point that they've been in their careers and at the hands of us. And now we over here on a team the year after. Things didn't really feel right for me. It just never felt like a team for me.
Yeah, you guys were pretty loaded, that squad, right?
Super loaded.
For you, Mario. Was Crabtree on that squad?
Crab was on that team. We went to the Super Bowl that year.
Yeah. No, you were definitely loaded. That was a crazy Super Bowl. That's weird, man. So you had that conversation with Mario where you guys are kind of looking at each other and you're both kind of like checked out.
I mean, he was younger than I was, so he still had a whole lot to play for real. Not that I was in my 8th year, so I wasn't really that. But for me, a running back being my 8th year, that kind of like I had already got a contract, and I'd done all that stuff. So, he was playing for a lot more than I was, so he tried to really be in tune. We just struggled, man. We just struggled. I think we struggled fitting in, and that's what comes to it. If the team you play, I think I would have fit in better with the Cowboys versus going to because of the team I was familiar with, played them twice a year. Yeah. Had real serious dislikes on the team. But I think I'd have fit in better because they'd have known what I was about and I knew what they would have been about. But I just didn't fit. I just didn't fit. It wasn't a good offense for me.
In hindsight, is that when you look back on your career saying, I probably should have stayed with the Giants?
Dude, I was trying to work a trade that season. I was trying to work a trade that, that season. Giants draft David Wilson,
Yeah.
right? The Giants draft
Injuries.
David Wilson.
Yep.
He gets hurt. Then Andre, I think, goes down. He gets hurt.
Andre Brown. Yep.
Yep. So they had the Atlanta Falcons on a Monday night that season. So I'm on the phone with my agent trying to see what would be a good number, a good thing to bring me back to Jersey. And they obviously never went anywhere, but the Giants, I don't think they were interested in trading for me at that point. You got a running back who's on the downside of his career. He's in his 8th year, been hurt this year. I don't know if I even want to give a 7th round pick to bring him back, which I get it. I definitely understand. That's why I say I learned the business. I wasn't upset about that, but I definitely tried to work it.
That's interesting. It's interesting when you hear that.
I tried to work it because I could have flew from San Francisco straight to Atlanta and started and been able to run the offense.
Right.
Like it's plug and play. I know the offense. I know, like, let's do it,
Yeah.
So, but it just never really worked out,
You eventually came back though.
Yeah. But that's what it was though. When I talked to Jerry Reese in the office when we were trying to get me to take a pick out, I was like, you know what? I want to see what it's like somewhere else in the league for just like 1 year, but I want to come back and retire as a Giant. And I tapped him on the shoulder. I looked at him. I said, Jerry, I don't want to sign a 1-day contract and retire with the Giants. I want to freaking play.
Yeah.
He said, I got you. We're going to bring you back next year. And that was it. Came back next year. Wait till week 1 passed. Got me. Came back in, and then I was good to go. Played the rest of the season and was good to go.
Yeah, I mean, I can tell you now because, we're tight like that, but I was not happy that you signed with San Francisco. So
I just wanted to see what it's like somewhere
I know.
else.
Listen, I get it, man. It's your career, your life. It's a business move. You if you feel you're not being compensated or the value, then you go somewhere where you believe, yeah, I get it. I'm more of the sentiment, watching like Mario and you and Hakeem and then Ahmad go to Indianapolis. Like, to me, it was more of like the fan sentiment. We're like, oh man, like, what are you guys doing? But I get it at the end of the day.
Yeah.
What's best for you. But, I mean, we know that you came back as a Giant, and that's all that matters. And you had your success with the Giants. All right, real quick. You throwing any shekels on your boy Fury or what? I gave you the odds. There's a sucker to be born every day.
Every minute. Every minute. I got to find somebody that doesn't know anything about either one of these guys.
Tweet it out.
I want to find somebody, and I think I'll find it on Facebook. I'm going to find somebody that's going to look at these body types of these two men, and they're going to say, there's no way he can beat this guy. I don't know who this guy is. I don't know who this guy is, but this guy's big, strong, muscular. I'm going to go with the big, strong, muscular guy, and I bet you 200 on it. Bet. That's a bet. And that's how I'm going to get somebody. Somebody got to be totally 100% green to make to type of bet.
What I would do is, if we were out on the street right now, this would be the alley con. I would play the dumb one. So you'd be chirping at the gums and saying what you're saying, and then I'm going to take that bet, knowing that you and I are in cahoots. Then we get some other suckers to jump in, and then afterwards, we're in the back alley, we're splitting it up.
Yeah.
But now I kind of gave the hand away for everyone.
You did. I'm trying to look at you like, hey,
stop. I'm sure you'll get someone on Facebook. Don't worry, because I know how you love to interact with everyone on social. All right. Real quick, I know any college games you and the kids going to this weekend?
No, we off this week, man. I think the next one we are going to is Tennessee and Georgia, and then Florida State, Miami game we're going to. Then we got LSU and Texas A&M, and then that's going to wrap up the college season for us. Trying to get to this, trying to make a run, man. These playoffs, coming up. We got the game tonight. And then we got the game next week. That's going to be it for the regular season game. Going 9-1 on the season into the playoffs, which is a Georgia high school state 7A playoffs is probably the roughest, toughest bracket in the country when it comes to football. I always tell people all the time, like, I can tell you who's going to win the state championship in Florida. I can tell you who's going to win the state championship in Texas. I can tell you who's going to win the state championship in California. I'm not saying that not either of those teams could beat the best team in Georgia. I'm not saying that, but we're more competitive across the board. It's four, five, maybe six teams that we have in our division that can win the state championship this year in Georgia. So you got Mater Dei.
Yes.
And the St. John Bosco. One of them two gonna win it. You got DeSoto and you got Duncanville in Texas. One of those two are gonna win it. And you got Chaminade Madonna in Florida, who's gonna win the state championship. But you can't tell me who's gonna win the state championship in the state of Georgia. You can be biased and tell me your team, whoever your team may be, but that's not really, that doesn't really mean much.
Yeah.
So you got to line up in place. So the playoffs is going to be very, very, very tricky. The Beautiful Wolves, they dropped one to Mill Creek a couple weeks ago in the region, kind of in the division match. So we're going to take second in the region, but we're going to finish out the season. The boys got a good opportunity. They've gotten better. They never knew what it's like to lose until then. They lost last year in the playoffs, and they never had a chance to come back and avenge that loss until next season. This season, they lost during the season, came back the week after and put up 66 points. So we're gonna see, like we're gonna find out really what our team is made of, once these playoffs start, though.
Nice, awesome, man. Good luck with it. I know it's been a fun ride with them as well. And like you said, you just enjoy the treatment and seeing these games and whatnot.
Yeah. I try to use
him
to go to games all the time. Sometimes he's just not with it. I don't want to go there. I'm like, come on, man. Let's go to the damn game.
And we'll catch you again on the radio Sunday.
Yep, Sunday from 5 to 9. I'm off for my 11 o'clock show.
Okay.
Because the Jets and Giants are playing for whatever reason. I don't know why we're off for that, but we're all. I'll take it.
Hey, nothing wrong with that. You can sit back and a little hot toddy time, right? Weather starting.
Yeah, right. It's getting that time of year, man.
Yeah. I don't see the hookah. I don't see you posting anything with the hookah and the smoking and whatnot. That'll come in another couple weeks.
Dude, it's freaking 3:20.
All right.
It's 3:20 on a Friday afternoon. Now maybe 3:20 on a Saturday when college football is on. That's a different story.
Say what you gotta say, big man.
Hey, everybody. I kind of miss saying this and I miss everybody. So listen, enjoy the weekend. Have a great weekend. Have great humanities. Yes, ma'am. No, ma'am. Please. Thank you. No, sir. Yes, sir. Treat everybody like gold. Treat everybody like gold. Love the life that you have. Love the life you have and be great. Love for me. Peace.
My guy, the two-time Super Bowl champ, former great running back from the New York Football Giants, number 27, Brandon Jacobs. I'm Rich Canus. Appreciate everyone checking out 2070Q. Give the big man a follow on all social media platforms. Check him out, as he mentioned, Sunday, 5 o'clock, ESPN 98.7 in New York for the football show. We'll do it again next week. Hopefully, a little NBA and a little boxing talk. But big man, always good to catch up, brother. Appreciate you.
You too, my brother. You too.